Okay, so tell me about the new jail location that was just added to the agenda.
Well, we're having a few different new locations added to the agenda. These are property owners who, of their own volition, have entertained selling their land to the county for the purposes of building a jail. Those can't just sit down in a filing cabinet and have an intern toss them away. Transparency is they have to have an airing, a hearing, if you will, for contemplation by all three commissioners, not just one of us. And so tomorrow is just formally addressing those that have voluntarily submitted their land.
I know there's some backlash surrounding Northeast 23rd and Coltrane, specifically in the northeast side of town. How do you respond to criticism of that being considered right now?
We're over 30 sites that have been considered from the beginning of this process, and in the case of all but one, they have been brought to us by the property owner, and they have filled out the paperwork, and that is what has happened in this individual's case. He came down here and filled it out and decided he wanted to try to sell it to the county.
I know in Dell City's case, I mean, even their city council has gone the lengths of even setting aside money in their city budget for even pursuing legal action against Oklahoma County Commissioners for continuing to put Dell City on the agenda for the new jail location. How do you respond to that?
The tragedy of that is it's taxpayers suing taxpayers. So the only guarantee outcome of that is that the taxpayers are going to lose. The other thing is it's not in Dell City. It's to the west of their city. I don't even know where they have legal standing to bring a lawsuit. It is, in my opinion, a frivolous lawsuit.
So Commissioner Bloomer, I'm not sure if you read over her statement, but if you haven't, I'll read it aloud to you. She was saying, I am disappointed and angry that Commissioner Maughan and Commissioner Davidson continue to put up sites for consideration in Northeast OKC and Dell City. We've had numerous meetings and heard from hundreds of citizens that they don't want the jail near the schools, their neighborhoods, and in areas that have history of neglect at the hands of local government. And she continues on to say, the fact that my fellow commissioners continue to even put these sites up for consideration is incredibly frustrating and exhausting for residents who continually have to fight for themselves. And she continues to say on that she will be an advocate for Northeast OKC and Dell City. When you hear words like that, you know, what's your response to Commissioner Bloomer?
Well, it's completely irresponsible of Commissioner Bloomer to say that because she knows darn well that these property owners have submitted their property voluntarily. And so you cannot deny any property owner their right to come down here and submit it. And as long as the portal is open, property owners can do that. Now we can vote to close the portal, and at that time only a commissioner could bring it forward, but at this present time it is established so that any citizen who wants to can bring it up there. And she's not chose to lead during this time. She has chosen to attack. She's chosen to say what she's not in favor of. And it's easy to do that, but we're going to have a jail. It's going to have to be somewhere. And so it's going to fall in someone's district, someone's neighborhood, and probably near someone's school, because we're pretty well developed as a county and there aren't very many places left to choose.
What would you say to people who are basically just kind of begging for the city or for the county to keep the jail right where it is?
Well, I mean, it's been testified by the construction company we've hired to do it. It will be $90 million more expensive to build than as opposed to one of these other locations that are on the agenda. I just think that's fiscally irresponsible. Number one, we don't have the money. So I don't even believe in good faith we could enter into a contract because we couldn't even encumber that amount of money to satisfy the contract upon completion. So for me, it's a financial no-go. It doesn't have any option because we don't have enough money to build it downtown. I'm personally opposed to putting it back into a 5-story tower, which is the minimum they thought we could get by with on the land that is theoretically available that she's suggesting. It's also owned by different people, some of which have not indicated they're willing to sell. One has. But you need all of them to do it. And if you don't, you're back to eminent domain, and I'm totally opposed to eminent domain.
And I know there's also a protest happening tomorrow morning surrounding the location proposed near Northeast 23rd and Coltrane. It's being organized by Jason Lowe, a state lawmaker, and he's basically saying that people who participate will march from the proposed site back to downtown OKC just to shed light on how far away the site is from the services people who are detained at the jail need. What do you, or how do you respond to that?
Well, it's going to be no matter where we go. You know, it's not going to be in the immediate downtown proximity. That's why we're working on a travel plan in order to get people to where services are at. I think that's something we've already expected no matter where we attend. And I would just point out there have been protesters from every single suggested site. Some have been louder than others. Some have chose to work back channels and calling us and emailing versus showing up and being more vocal in front of the news cameras at the open meetings. But believe you me, every single site has had a pretty active contingent of people who are opposed to this being in their nearby vicinity.
Does it kind of get to a point where you're thinking, you know, hey, you can't please everyone. This is just a situation where you got to find the best suitor.
Nobody's going to be happy with this, no matter where we go. It's just one of those things. It is what it is. It's like coming up with a power plant or maybe some other things like a landfill that's not desirable, but you know, society needs it. We're in that same category. There are different risks, and people can argue and debate those aspects of it, but it's going to not be a welcome neighbor no matter where it goes.